The entire parking lot erupted in laughter the moment the rust-covered car rolled in. Its faded paint peeled from every corner. The headlights were cloudy. The tires looked older than some of the people standing nearby. It seemed impossible that anyone would willingly spend money on something that looked ready for a scrapyard. Yet one man stepped out with a proud smile on his face. And within 5 days, that same forgotten car would become the center of a bidding war worth millions. Before we begin, if you believe kindness matters, if you believe everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Soulful Stories for more emotional and inspiring stories. The bright morning sun stretched across the small town of Maple Ridge as Rowan Mercer pulled into the local auto auction. The 38-year-old single father looked exhausted. Deep lines surrounded his eyes. His work boots were covered in dust from long construction shifts. Life had been difficult ever since his wife passed away 4 years earlier, leaving him to raise his 10-year-old daughter, Brielle, alone. Every day felt like a battle. He worked 12-hour shifts whenever possible. He skipped meals to make sure Brielle had enough. He repaired things instead of replacing them. He rarely bought anything for himself. But despite the hardships, Rowan carried something many wealthier people lacked. Hope. Brielle was his entire world. Recently, their old pickup truck had finally died after years of faithful service. Without transportation, getting to work became nearly impossible. Rowan had only $100 saved after paying rent, utilities, school expenses, and groceries. That $100 represented everything he had. The auction lot was crowded with buyers searching for bargains. Most ignored Rowan completely. Until he stopped in front of an ancient silver coupe hidden beneath years of dust. Something about it caught his attention. While everyone else saw junk, Rowan noticed unusual details. The frame looked surprisingly solid. The body lines seemed unique. The engine compartment showed signs of old modifications. He wasn't a car expert. But his late father had spent years teaching him how to recognize quality beneath appearances. After examining the vehicle, Rowan made a simple decision. When bidding started, almost nobody showed interest. The final hammer fell at exactly $100. The crowd laughed. Some shook their heads. Others whispered that the struggling father had just wasted his last dollar. Among the loudest critics was Vanessa Crow, a wealthy luxury car dealer known throughout the region for her expensive showroom and sharp tongue. Standing beside several high-end sports cars, she openly mocked Rowan's purchase. To her, the rusted coupe represented failure. To Rowan, it represented possibility. He simply smiled, signed the paperwork, and drove the vehicle home. The engine sputtered and growled during the trip, but somehow it made the journey. That evening, Brielle ran outside when she heard the car approaching. Instead of laughing like everyone else, she stared at it with wonder. The little girl circled the vehicle several times before grinning. She said it looked like a forgotten treasure from an adventure movie. That simple reaction made Rowan's difficult day feel lighter. Over the next few days, father and daughter spent every free moment cleaning the coupe together. They washed away layers of grime. They vacuumed decades of dust. They polished chrome hidden beneath corrosion. As the dirt disappeared, something extraordinary began to emerge. The vehicle wasn't ordinary at all. Strange markings appeared near the engine bay. An old manufacturer plate became visible beneath the grime. Several unique components suggested the car had once been heavily modified for racing. Still, Rowan didn't think much of it. He simply enjoyed the time spent with his daughter. For the first time in months, Brielle seemed genuinely happy. The project gave them something positive to focus on. Meanwhile, photographs of the unusual restoration began circulating online. A local car enthusiast posted images in a racing history forum. Within hours, experts started asking questions. The comments multiplied rapidly. Collectors zoomed in on small details. Historians compared old records. Former racing mechanics shared theories. Something about the car seemed incredibly familiar. On the fourth day, a well-known automotive historian drove nearly 6 hours to inspect the vehicle personally. After studying it carefully, he became visibly emotional. His hands trembled. His voice cracked. The forgotten coupe appeared to be a legendary prototype built decades earlier by a famous racing engineer who had created only 3 examples. 2 had been destroyed in accidents. The third had disappeared without a trace nearly 40 years earlier. Many believed it no longer existed. Yet somehow it had spent decades hidden in plain sight. The historian's findings exploded across social media. News outlets picked up the story. Collectors started calling Rowan nonstop. Offers began arriving immediately. $20,000. $50,000. $100,000. The numbers kept climbing. Rowan could barely process what was happening. The same people who laughed days earlier suddenly wanted meetings. The same buyers who ignored him now begged for conversations. Vanessa Crowe also returned. This time, her smile looked very different. She offered a substantial amount of money and spoke with a kindness she hadn't shown before. But Rowan wasn't focused on wealth. He remained cautious. Something felt unfinished. The story reached national attention on the 5th day. That afternoon, dozens of reporters gathered outside Rowan's modest home. Television vans lined the street. Neighbors watched from their yards. No one knew what would happen next. Then a black helicopter appeared in the distance. It landed in a nearby field. A stunned silence spread through the crowd. Stepping out was one of the most celebrated racing legends in automotive history. For decades, Victor Hale had been a champion driver, successful team owner, and respected ambassador of motorsports. Millions recognized his name. Thousands considered him a hero. Yet when Victor approached the car, he didn't act like a celebrity. He looked like someone reunited with a lost piece of his life. His eyes filled with tears. Carefully placing his hand on the vehicle's roof, he stood silently for several moments. Years earlier, Victor's late mentor had helped design the prototype. Before passing away, the mentor often spoke about the missing car and his dream of finding it someday. That dream had never been fulfilled. Until now. Victor explained that this vehicle represented far more than metal and machinery. It represented history. Innovation. Friendship. Memories. Legacy. The racing legend spent hours examining every detail. Then he made an announcement that stunned everyone present. He intended to preserve the vehicle permanently in a museum dedicated to racing heritage. And he was prepared to pay whatever was necessary to secure it. Bidding immediately intensified. Several wealthy collectors entered the competition. The offers climbed higher and higher. $1 million. $2 million. $3 million. The crowd watched in disbelief. Rowan felt as though he were living inside a dream. Then Victor Hale made one final offer. $5 million. The street fell silent. Nobody challenged it. The deal was done. 5 days after purchasing a forgotten $100 car, a struggling single father became a millionaire. Reporters expected celebration. They expected shouting. They expected dramatic reactions. Instead, Rowan simply looked toward Brielle. The little girl hugged him tightly. Both were crying. Not because of the money. Because years of struggle finally seemed to be ending. For the first time since losing his wife, Rowan could breathe. He could provide security. He could give Brielle opportunities he never imagined possible. Weeks later, Rowan paid off every debt. He purchased a comfortable home. He established educational funds for local children who had lost parents. He donated generously to community programs supporting struggling families. He quietly helped construction workers facing hardships similar to those he once endured. The money changed his circumstances. But it never changed his heart. Meanwhile, the restored prototype became the centerpiece of a world-class museum exhibit. Visitors traveled from around the globe to see it. Beside the display stood a plaque telling the remarkable story of how a forgotten treasure was discovered by a hardworking single father who saw value where others saw only rust. Ironically, many visitors became more inspired by Rowan's story than by the car itself. Because the real lesson wasn't about luck. It was about perspective. People judged him because of his appearance. They laughed because of what they saw on the surface. But hidden beneath that surface was something extraordinary. Just like the car. And just like many people we encounter every day. Years later, Brielle often remembered the moment everyone laughed in that parking lot. She remembered how her father refused to become bitter. She remembered how he treated people with kindness even when they mocked him. Most importantly, she remembered that true worth isn't always obvious. Sometimes the greatest treasures are disguised as ordinary things. Sometimes the strongest people are carrying invisible burdens. And sometimes a single act of faith can change an entire life. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with your friends and family, leave a comment, and subscribe to Soulful Stories so we can continue bringing meaningful stories like this to you. Special request, comment below with the words, "Hidden Treasure," if you believe every person deserves respect before judgment. As the sun set over Maple Ridge, Rowan stood beside his daughter on their porch. The future stretched before them with possibilities they once thought impossible. The laughter that had followed him days earlier was long gone, replaced by admiration and respect. Yet Rowan knew the greatest reward wasn't the millions of dollars. It was the reminder that hope is powerful, kindness matters, and sometimes the world rewards those who refuse to give up when everyone else stops believing. And somewhere inside a museum, a forgotten car continued telling its incredible story, proving that true value is often hidden where nobody thinks to look.